Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about Monday Night Football. The banged up or Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals head all the way to Jacksonville, Florida to take on the Jaguars on Monday Night Football. Kickoff is at promptly 8:15. Right now, the over/under is at about 40. Jacksonville's given some points, and as the video progresses, you probably already know it already why the game is going to, or why the game is laid out as it is right now. Before we get into all that, make sure you get to the website at fantasy6pack.net. And when you get there, use promo code FFPlayoffs. You'll get 25% off any premium package here at the site. And given the fact that this is the last game of week 13, we're going to start getting into the nitty gritty in terms of the fantasy football playoffs. And what better website to be a part of than Fantasy Six Pack with all their beautiful rankings, just always stays in the top 5, top 10 of all the positions. Or if you've had it with seasonal fantasy football, you're right where you belong. Me, Dave, and Keith put together a wonderful section or slate of DFS content throughout the week. So use FF Playoffs, get 25% off, and you get all access to the Discord. So let's get back to this game. We're going to keep this one 8 to 10 minutes because, again, some games, all games are different than some, right? Sunday Night Football was wild. Green Bay won. I had on paper, I had Kansas City to win, but in the tweets and everything that I told folks, I just had that weird feeling, that nervous feeling in the pit of my stomach. And lo and behold, Jordan Love and Green Bay pulls it off. I don't think Cincinnati has that same magic tonight because Joe Burrow is out. He's done for the season. And we I don't want to say get stuck because Jake Browning is a professional quarterback, more so than I could ever be or a collection of us could ever be. So I don't want to put anybody down here, but it's Trevor Lawrence versus Jake Browning, and this game is going to be, I don't know. We look at Cincinnati going in an opposite direction, unfortunately because of a Joe Burrow injury, while Jacksonville's kind of putting it together all at the right time here. So as I said, kickoff is at 8:15, over-under is at 40. Let's start with Jake Browning, shall we? Right, Cincinnati goes to Jacksonville right now. Jacksonville 28th overall against opposing quarterbacks. Jake 13 grand on FanDuel, 8-8 on DK, 22 on Yahoo, 21 to 22 completions, 240 yards. He will throw a touchdown pass, more than likely to Jamar Chase for all of us parlay slappies or just anytime touchdown people. It's such a fun bet on Monday Night Football or Sunday night, and 4 to 5 carries for 20 yards. It's great to see Jake when he wants to. Kid's got some wheels. So we'll move on. Let's talk about Trevor Lawrence, right? The golden boy, the golden goose for so many years, and he finally finding himself again in an odd way. Cincinnati 22nd overall against opposing quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence 14-5 on FanDuel, 10-8 on DK, $30 on Yahoo. I have Trevor Lawrence 22 to 23 completions, around 270 to 275 yards. A little bit overly ambitious, but I think that some of these Jacksonville wide receivers and even a tight end named Evan Ingram can really get moving and spark this thing. And Trevor Lawrence, 2 touchdown passes, and then again 3 to 4 carries, around 20 to 25 yards. That knee injury is kind of hopefully behind him, and we saw those first few games back, and this was a while ago. He was a little apprehensive, and rightfully so. The coaching staff and the owners probably said, hey, look, kid, you don't need to run as it stands right now. You are our golden goose, and if that leg gets tore up anymore, we are screwed, not only right now, but in the future. So Trevor Lawrence, lean on your arm and your brain, and that's what got you to the show, baby. When we talk about the running backs here, it's all about Mixon and Travis Etienne. So why mention Travion Williams? Dearness Johnson, in a way, we can sprinkle in. I've already done it in those multi-enter GPPs. There's a $1 one on FanDuel right now, and there's like 150 max entries or the single entries, whatever it is, GPP-wise. Dearness Johnson is on my radar, and therefore I will let you know, maybe you should sprinkle some Dearness Johnson in. When we look at Mixon in Jacksonville right now, Jacksonville, very stout up front. 15th overall against opposing running backs. Mixon 13.5 on FanDuel, $7,000 on DraftKings, $26 on Yahoo. Mixon going to see a ton of work, 16 to 17 carries, 65 yards. But throughout for the length of the season and even this game, I have Mixon around 3.9 yards a carry. It's not that, I mean, that is, it's a bummer, right? You some of these higher echelon backs, 4.5, 5.2 would be beautiful. In certain spots, you'll throw a guy in, he'll get 10 carries and he's 70 yards. Boom, you're looking at 7 yards a carry. Mixon does other things well, like catch passes. How about 3 to 4 receptions for around 20 to 25 yards? Travis Etienne, I talked about him this morning to a group of friends, right? He had that stretch of games where he scored 2 or more touchdowns, actually 2 total. I believe it was weeks 5 to 7. And then the following week in week 8, because they were on bye in week 9, week 8, he scored a reception touchdown. That 2 touchdown string of games was rushing. And I have Travis Etienne to find the end zone yet again. Finally, he's been held out of the end zone for a few games. And last week, they gave it to him 2 or 3 times inside the 5, and he was unable to punch it in. This week, Cincinnati 19th overall against opposing running backs. I have Travis 16 to 17 carries, 70 to 75 yards at 1 touchdown on the ground, and 3 to 4 receptions for about 30 yards. Mixon and Travis, to me, you can move them in MVP captain spot, but I wouldn't get overly saturated or overly involved with Mixon. I would, however, get just completely head over heels in love and involved with Travis Etienne. When we look at the wide receivers here, right, Jacksonville 24th overall against opposing wide receivers. Any other slate, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, they'd all be in play, but we have Jake Browning at quarterback, and let's be realistic here. He does not bring the same energy and the same skill set as Joe Burrow does. So to me, let's just hone it in and we'll focus on Jamar Chase, because most football teams, Kansas City excluded, have at least one wide receiver one. Just so happens Cincinnati has 2 of them, and Boyd, if he needed to be, he could step up and be that guy. He sure was in Cincinnati early in his career. So again, Browning will target and look Jamar Chase's way more often than not. And we look at Jamar Chase, $15,000 on FanDuel, 9.4 on DK, $28 on Yahoo, 8 to 9 targets, 6 to 7 receptions, 75 to 80 yards, and I have Chase scoring a touchdown, averaging around 12.2 yards a reception. T. Higgins finally looks to be back after a multi-game absence, and Cincinnati head coach Zach Taylor did confirm that T. Higgins will be playing tonight, and that's great to see. But again, in a game against Jacksonville in Florida, it's not that sunny, rosy, sunshine and rainbows outlook first game back that you would hope, but T. Higgins still has to be on our radar because this kid is explosive and he can get it done if need be. It's not about T. Higgins. It's about the quarterback or the offensive coaching staff. Are they able to kind of give T. Higgins his due, right? We've seen teams like this. Jamar Chase is always going to get his, but certain teams sometimes, when you have, like, let's say Green Bay, right? Aaron Jones hasn't played lately. A.J. Dillon, more times than not, they'll give single series. We'll give you a series. We'll give you a series. I always say you get a touchdown, kind of like Oprah. And when you look at Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, it's always, it's kind of been that way, but not planned, right? Not, unbeknownst to them. Right? It's just Joe Burrow is able to feed both guys without issue, but with Jake Browning, he's limited, so it's going to be Jamar Chase. But again, getting off a tangent, which I normally do, T. Higgins should be on our radar. 10.5 on FanDuel, 7.6 on DK. I got T, 6 to 7 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, 50 to 55 yards. I will said 55 to 55 yards. There's no middle right there. Tyler Boyd also in play, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 catches, 25 to 30 yards. When we look at Trent Irwin, probably fallen by the wayside, gone with the wind, however you want to put it, now that T is back. When we look at the Jacksonville wide receivers, it's all about Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk. Zay Jones is going to be active and in the mix, but again, 3 to 4 targets, 2 to 3 receptions, 30 to 35 yards. Tim Jones is obsolete. Calvin Ridley, though, 6 to 7 targets, 4 to 5 catches, 60 to 65 yards. Calvin been averaging 14.1 yards a reception. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. When we look at Kirk, it's like whatever you can do, I can do better. That's what I think he said. That's what I think Kirk says to Ridley in practice. And Ridley goes, yeah, watch this. And they just compete against each other for the same team. And it's the end result is always beautiful, right? Competition always brings out the best in people. When you look at Kirk, 7 to 8 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, 70 to 75 yards. So you'll notice I have Kirk for an extra target or two and an extra reception or two, therefore another 15 to 20 more yards than Ridley. But Ridley's gone off the last 2 weeks, right? And to be fair, Kirk has always been that PPR monster since he got to Jacksonville. He's only been there a few seasons, but to me, trusting both of these guys, not really an issue with me, but I would prefer Christian Kirk just based on in a cash game, it would be Christian Kirk. In a GPP, let's go wild with Calvin Ridley. Both guys, again, you know what I'm going to say, MVP captain, and then flex, and we just move them all about, right? When you look at the tight ends, it's got to be about Evan Ingram, Cincinnati 30th overall against opposing tight ends. And Evan Ingram, he's seen 7 or more targets in 9 of Jacksonville's last 11 games. That is that to talk about wonderful. What kind of safe production you can get from a tight end. And when you look at the graphic right here, Evan Ingram is built like a wide receiver. He is tall, but he's not that like 6'5", 6'6", 280, 320 pound kind of guy. 320 would be an offensive lineman, very skinny one, but hey, Evan Ingram, 7 to 8 targets, 5 to 6 catches, 55 to 60 yards. He could find the end zone just as easily as any other guy on the slate. When you look at Cincinnati, they have Tanner Hudson, Irv Smith Jr., Drew Sample caught one pass for 8 or 11 yards and a touchdown. Tanner Hudson, however, has been seeing an increased target share, but that was with Joe Burrow, and it's kind of carried over, but in a way it carried over, but it's starting to trail off, if that makes sense with Tanner Hudson. So of these 3 tight ends, I would prefer Tanner, just more on the safe side. Just makes one of the 3 of these guys, they're all GPPs plays. Of the 3, I think Tanner Hudson is the safest, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 30, 35 yards maximum. When we look at the DSTs here, again, I hate to have a one-sided video here, and if I'm wrong, I will apologize. I'll eat my words here, but I do think Jacksonville wins. If that wasn't as clear as day or as apparent as I tried it not to be. When we look at Jacksonville, though, 2 to 3 sacks, an interception or two. How many mistakes does Browning make? Is there a fumble by one of the Cincinnati running backs? I know Joe Mixon has fumbled in the past, right? But he's been safe with the football as of late. But when you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, the DST, there's kind of a domino effect, right? When your offense is struggling, the defense winds up staying on the field longer than they should because the offense is always sputtering. They can't a bunch of 3 and outs. They're punting. They can't get out of their own way, and the defense sees a lot more time on the field than they would have expected. And especially with the Cincinnati defense, they're used to being on the sideline for 5-6 minutes of shit, maybe 8 to 10 minutes at a time, while Joe Burrow is a maestro putting things together. And in the end result, there's always points, a touchdown or field goal. So there's going to be plenty of 3 and outs and just I don't know. But Jacksonville, to me, as I said, 2 to 3 sacks, an interception or two, and we'll move on. When we look at the kickers, McPherson, 2 for 2 extra points, maybe a field goal max. Brandon McManus, however, 3 for 3 extra points, maybe a couple of field goals here. So to me, Brandon McManus would be the way. If you wanted to use Jacksonville DST in your captain spot and then put McManus in the flex and then vice versa, kicker at MVP flex, I wouldn't be against that, especially with the Jaguars DST here tonight. Couple recent betting trends. The Cincinnati ones realistically, they don't matter because they were all when Joe Burrow was the quarterback. 14-6 against the spread, last 20 on the road. That was Joe Burrow as quarterback. 6-2 straight up their last 8 versus Jacksonville. More than likely, all those were Joe Burrow at quarterback. The one thing that stands out, Jacksonville 7-1 against the spread their last 8 games. And the over has come in 5 of Jacksonville's last 6 games. played in December. Last I checked, it's December 4th. So give me the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this one 28-14. If you wanted to get wild, I've already booked it. Give me Jacksonville minus 12.5 points. You can get that one for plus 116 because the money line with Jacksonville, no money to be made. Jacksonville minus 6 is still minus 110, something like that. So you got some leftover money. You hit big on Sunday. Look for Jacksonville minus 12.5. Plus 116, add in some anytime touchdown bets, and boom, a couple bucks could net you 1,000, 100, whatever you're comfortable spending. Before I split, make sure you get to the website, fantasy6pack.net. Use FF Playoffs. You'll get 25% off any premium package. And before I split, Jacksonville wins 28-14. I'll see you soon talking about Sunday Night Football. But hey, bottom of the barrel, quarterbacks will be out tomorrow. Be good, be safe. Jacksonville wins this one, 28, to 14. See you later. Bye.